Hello, my delicious co-creators. Lilou here on the Juicy Living Tour. It's very emotional today. I might even cry during this interview. There's so much love present here. I'm at the big Zénith in Toulon, south of France, for the Juicy Living Tour, and I'm sitting next to Amma, that is embracing millions of people, as you know. I feel the love. I feel the tears going in my eyes. I hope I'll be able to ask those questions. Thank you for taking the time. We'll be translating here. I have my first question is about compassion, and how does she teach compassion in the world?
ചവിട്ടി കാണിക്കാൻ പറ്റേ ചവിട്ടുന്നു അത്രയേ ഉള്ളൂ. സംസാരിക്കേണ്ട ഭാഷയല്ലല്ലോ, കാണിച്ചു കൊടുക്കേണ്ട പ്രാക്ടിക്കൽ വശമാണ്. ജീവിച്ച് കാണിക്കുന്ന മറ്റുള്ള
Amma says compassion cannot be taught, it cannot be preached. I set an example. I live a life of compassion. That's how I inspire people to be compassionate. So unless you become compassionate, you cannot inspire others.
So she leads by example.
Yes. So if you write honey on a piece of paper and lick it, you don't get sweetness. So unless you eat honey, take honey, you will not be able to experience the sweetness of honey. Likewise, I practice compassion. That's how I teach. The people feel inspired.
So by embracing people feel it then, and then can develop that within themselves.
Yes. And that awakens the love within them. Yeah, so it is not just a physical hug. It's a real meeting of hearts. And that through the hug, I'm trying to transmit the pure energy of love into people so that they can slowly awaken into that true love and compassion.
ആവശ്യം അത്യാവശ്യമാണ്. ആവശ്യം എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് അത്യാഗ്രഹമുണ്ട്. ആവശ്യം ഇപ്പോൾ ഓഫീസിൽ പോകണമെങ്കിൽ വാച്ച് വേണം, ടൈം അറിയാം. പക്ഷെ $10 വാച്ചും കൊണ്ട് ഓഫീസിൽ പോകാം. $50,000 വാച്ച് മേടിക്കാം. അപ്പോൾ രണ്ടും നമ്മുടെ ലൈഫിൽ ആവശ്യമാണ്. പക്ഷേ ഈ വ്യത്യാസമുണ്ട്. അപ്പോൾ അത് ആവശ്യത്തിനെടുക്കുക മറ്റുള്ള ലോകത്തിന് ചെയ്യുന്ന ഒരു പ്രവൃത്തിയാണ്. നമ്മൾ ആവശ്യത്തിന് വേണ്ടി എടുക്കുന്ന ഒരു ധർമ്മമാണ് ആധ്യാത്മം എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. ആധ്യാത്മം എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് അതാണ്. അപ്പോൾ അത് മറ്റുള്ളവരെ കൂടി ഓർക്കുക എന്ത് ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ.
We have necessity and then greed. So Amma says, take what is absolutely necessary for you from nature, from society, and return the rest back to society to help the poor and needy. That's my principle. For example, it's important to know time. You can buy a $10 watch or a 10 euro watch, or 10,000 watch that costs 10,000 euros. So you buy a 10 euro watch and give the rest to society, to the poor and needy.
They'll have the time anyway.
For the poor and downtrodden, to uplift them. So that's my principle. Remember the others. Consider the others compassionately. That's my path. And that's true spirituality. That's true spirituality. So in today's world, what people just take, they don't give. So Amma is not asking everyone to give. So this is just an example, but you can practice it also. If you really long for it, you can practice it.
നമ്മൾ ഒറ്റപ്പെട്ട ദീപമല്ല, ഒരു ശൃംഖലയുടെ കണ്ണിയാണ്. അവർ മാറി നമ്മൾ മാറി നടക്കില്ല. അവർ മാറിയില്ലെങ്കിലും നമ്മൾ മാറിയ വ്യത്യാസം. അതുപോലെ നമ്മൾ ജീവിച്ച് കാണിച്ചാൽ അവർക്ക് ആ വ്യത്യാസം കൊണ്ടുവരാമെന്നുള്ളതാണ്.
So we are not as human beings, we are not like isolated islands. We are part of the universal chain. So we should not expect others to change first. That is normally what we do. We want others to change. But when we change first, others will change automatically.
It's a universal law.
Yeah, that's the universal law.
What is her message for 2012, for humanity, for 2013 and even beyond? Right now, a lot of people are fearful.
മനുഷ്യന്റെ മനസ്സ് കലുഷമായിരിക്കുന്നതാണ്. അപ്പം നമ്മളൊരു തീയുടെ മുമ്പ് നിൽക്കുന്ന പോലെയും ഒരു തോക്കിൻ്റെ മുമ്പ് നിൽക്കുന്ന പോലെ അവയർനെസ് ഉണ്ടാകണം. രണ്ടാമത് ഈ നിമിഷം മാത്രമാണ് നമുക്കുള്ളത്. എന്ത് വന്നാലും സന്തോഷമായിരിക്കുക, എന്ത് വന്നാലും ധൈര്യമായിരിക്കുക. ഒരിക്കലും ഒറ്റയ്ക്കല്ല. ആ പരമാത്മാവിനെ മുൻനിർത്തി പോവുക. ചിരിച്ചാലും കരഞ്ഞാലും സമയം പോകും, ദിവസവും പോകും. സന്തോഷമായിരിക്കാൻ നോക്കുക. പക്ഷേ അതിനോടൊത്ത് നമ്മൾ പ്രയത്നിക്കുകയും വേണം. അവയർനെസ്. പ്രകൃതിയും മനുഷ്യനും കലുഷമാണ്. നമ്മുടെ വാക്കുകൾ വളരെ ശ്രദ്ധിച്ച് സംസാരിക്കണം. അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഒറ്റ വാക്ക് യുദ്ധത്തിലേക്ക് പുറപ്പെടുകയും. നേതാക്കന്മാരായാലും വാക്കുകൾ പറയുമ്പോൾ ശ്രദ്ധിക്കണം. ഓരോരുത്തരും അപ്പവും പൂർണ്ണവും കലുഷമാകുന്ന സമയം.
It's an age where people's mind as well as the outside world, the nature, people's mind as well as nature is very much agitated. So we should be extremely careful in our word, deed, and thought. Each word should be uttered carefully. Otherwise, it can even cause wars, big conflicts in society. So we should be alert just as we stand at gunpoint. That's the kind of time that we are going through at present. However, I must say, just like any other decision, happiness is also a decision. It is the decision that come what may, I will be happy. I will be courageous because I'm not alone. The entire universe is with me. So I must say, whether you cry or laugh, days will pass by. So better laugh, because laughter is the music of the soul. But at the same time, on the practical side, people, the national and the international leaders, they should also be very careful in each word, deed, and act.
മുമ്പിലും തോക്കിന് മുമ്പിൽ നിൽക്കുക. മഴത്തോട്ട് താഴത്തോട്ടാണ്. പ്രകൃതിയും കലുഷമാണ്, മനുഷ്യനും കലുഷം. അപ്പം അതുകൊണ്ട് പിന്നെ ഈ പ്രപഞ്ചം ഒറ്റപ്പെട്ട അല്ലെ പരസ്പരം ബന്ധപ്പെട്ട് നെറ്റ്വർക്ക് പോലാണ് ഈ പ്രപഞ്ചം. 4 പേർ വലയുടെ കൂടെ ചെല്ലുണ്ട്, അതെല്ലായിടവും പ്രതിഫലിക്കും.
Since we are part of the universal chain, the universe, whatever action we do individually or collectively will affect others also. It's like a universal network. It is like a net. If there is a vibration in one corner of the net, it will be reflected on the other corner. So it's like a web. So we should be extremely careful.
Yes. Does she has this sense of what she's doing right now since her childhood? Is it something? Can she tell us about her childhood and her journey to be here today and do what she's doing?
പ്ലെയിനകത്ത് യാത്ര ചെയ്താൽ ആളതിന് അനാസനിരിക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. അപ്പം എവിടെ യാത്രയിൽ ഞാൻ എന്നെ തന്നെയാണ്. അപ്പോൾ
കുട്ടിക്കാലത്തിനെ മറ്റേ പറഞ്ഞാൽ മതി.
കുട്ടിക്കാലം ഞാൻ ഗ്രാമങ്ങളിൽ പോയി ഒരു 90% ആൾക്കാർ.
I was born and brought up in a coastal village, a fishing village, where 80% of the people earned their livelihood from the ocean, by catching fish. So if they had a good catch, they had enough to eat. Otherwise, they starved. So 80% of the people were fishermen, and only 20% were government employees or people who had some kind of a job. So during those days when I was 7 or 8 years old, I used to visit 50 to 60 houses every day to collect food scraps and the tapioca peels. Tapioca is a root, so for the cattle at my house. And during such visit, I used to see the suffering of people, the harder realities of life, old age, death, poverty, starvation, and how the parents are being discarded by their own children. So I used to help people even at that age. You know, I used to feel so much compassion and love for them. Sometimes I steal food from my own house and give it to the people. And sometimes I bring the elderly people to my house and give them a bath. And, you know, it was always a profound question for me, why there is so much difference in this world, why there is so much suffering in this world. And I, seeing the suffering and pain of people, I even wanted to commit suicide by jumping into fire. So, but you know, then I realized that my real mission in life is to console people, to wipe their tears, and to somehow help them realize their true nature, the love within them. And thus it slowly unfolded naturally, spontaneously, like the blossoming of a flower.
And the evolution of it since she's doing this now for how many years? And I know that 30 million people she embraced.
32 million. So far, Amma has hugged 32 million people. In India, it's completely the darshan system is completely different because there will be 50,000 or 100,000 people. So Amma sits on the stage, at the edge of the stage, and then people will move fast in front of her. So the hugs will be very quick. Each person may get 1 or 2 seconds. So if suppose there is such a crowd, this will be finished in 1.5 hours. But normally the crowds are 50,000, 100,000. So sometimes it takes to 22 hours or maybe even 27 hours. Sometimes it begins at 7 p.m. and ends at 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. the next morning. Yeah.
And there is a certain for us as Europeans, we could see it from the outside as she's a guru, and there is a certain people have practices, you know, and it can be scary. Is that something? How does she manage that outside perception, especially in Europe? But she just doesn't care and she moves forward with it, you know.
Do you mean that the people have a suspicion about gurus or guruhood? People who try to be gurus. I mean,
as soon as you're Indian, you're kind of
posing.
What is her relationship with that, and how does she manage that, or does she simply move forward in what she has to do, not worrying about it? Because obviously there is the French media; they're very much into this, as you know. So I just want to answer this.
സ്നേഹമാണ്, ലവാണ്, എന്ത് മന്ത്രം, ക്രിസ്തു മന്ത്രം, അള്ളാഹ് മന്ത്രം, ലവ് മന്ത്രം. ഉള്ളിൽ സ്നേഹം, പ്രകാശം. അപൂർവം കുറച്ച് പേര് ക്രിസ്തു മന്ത്രം മേടിക്കും, ബാക്കി പ്രകാശം, ലവ് അങ്ങനെയൊക്കെ തന്നെ ഇതിൽ മേടിക്കുന്നത്.
So basically, I don't have any claims, you know. I don't say that I am a guru or I am God. So I just give that freedom to people, you know, let them decide whatever they want. And for me, love is the most important thing. I'm here just to give. My religion is love, because people are of different faiths, different people who believe in Christ, in Christianity, in Islam, in Buddhism. All kinds of people come. People from all walks of life come. So some people, they want a mantra. You know what a mantra is. Yeah. So some people want a mantra to Christ, and I give that mantra.
How do you define mantra?
It's a sacred formula. It's constituted with the pure vibrations, and which will have some syllables from the scriptures, or what from the traditional tradition of each religion, each faith. And so some people want a mantra to Christ, and I give that. I initiate people to that mantra, and some people may want a mantra to Allah. That's the path of So maybe 5% of people. So I give that mantra, and the majority of the people want mantra to love, light, compassion. And some people want mantra to Buddha. So they decide, and I give that mantra to them, and I don't question their freedom at all. So,
Is there some practice she recommends?
പ്രസവിച്ച കൊച്ചിനെ ഇറച്ചി കൊടുത്ത മനസ്സ് അവരുടെ ഘടന അനുസരിച്ചിട്ട് ശ്രദ്ധിച്ച് പറയും. ചോദിക്കും, അവർ ചോദിച്ച ഉത്തരം കൊടുക്കും.
So if they have a specific question about spiritual practices, Amma gives them specific instructions. Otherwise, actually you cannot instruct the same path to everyone, because each person's mental constitution, their emotional mind, and their past is completely different. So depending on their mental constitution and their mental disposition, I instruct them. But of course, so everyone may not like the same kind of food. So everyone may not like the same kind of dress, or the same size of shoes will fit to everyone. Likewise, spiritual path also depends on each person's mental constitution and their. So it's basically it's personal. It's personal, more personal. And people who have spiritual doubts or questions about their spiritual path or spiritual practices, ask Amma, ask me about it, and I give them specific instructions depending on their faith and mental constitution. So fundamentally, it's to gain mastery over the mind, to control your thoughts to a certain extent, so that it always remains with you.
റിപ്പോർട്ടർ തല ചുമട് അതുകൊണ്ട് സയന്റിസ്റ്റ് എന്താണ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്? അപ്പം മനസ്സിങ്ങനെ ചാനൽ ചെയ്യുന്ന പോലെ എനർജി അവർക്ക് സമ്പാദിക്കാം.
There is just as a huge tree is potent in a small seed, the spirituality or spiritual power, infinite spiritual power is within everyone. So it just has to be rediscovered. Mm-hmm. So there is a veil, and that veil has to be removed. Yeah. That's the process. That's that's what spiritual practices help. So the Amma says there is just as a huge tree is potent in a small seed, the spirituality or spiritual power, infinite spiritual power is within everyone. So it just has to be rediscovered. Mm-hmm. So there is a veil, and that veil has to be removed. That's the process. That's that's what spiritual practices help. Now, Amma says it's like a porter, porter, somebody who carries luggage. So Amma says both a porter and a scientist uses their heads. But a porter uses his head to carry heavy luggage, whereas a scientist uses his head to delve into the mysteries of nature. So likewise, there is infinite potential within us. But we have to channel it, properly.
So does she recommend a balance between the mind and the heart, or completely being 100% in the heart?
മനസ്സ് കൈ കിട്ടിയവരുടെ എല്ലാ പ്രവൃത്തിയിലും വാക്കില് നോട്ടത്തില് പ്രവൃത്തിയിലൊക്കെ വിനയം കൊണ്ടുവരും. മറ്റുള്ളവർക്കൊരു മാതൃകയാകും. പിന്നെ ഇത്ര എനർജി അവർക്ക് സമ്പാദിക്കാം. നല്ല എനർജി ഫാക്ടറി പോയിട്ടാണ് നമുക്കൊരു ഫാക്ടറി.
Basically, it is it's gaining mastery over the mind. Once the mind is like a remote control. Once the mind is in your hand, then that balance between the heart and the intellect happens spontaneously. It's gaining mastery over your mind. Once the mind is like a remote control, once the mind is in your hands, then that balance between the heart and the intellect happens spontaneously. And also you will be able to face any circumstances of life, whether negative or positive, good or bad. blissfully, happily, where, you will gain an evenness of mind in every situation.
And allowing whatever's coming up.
Yes, acceptance.
Acceptance. Even for people coming and seeing her before meeting her, a lot of people experience turbulence and a lot of things going on in their life showing up all of a sudden. Is that something normal?
It happens everywhere, all over the world, I mean.
No, but particularly it seems before meeting her, it's like all of a sudden all this stuff in ourselves that is not love is brought up to the surface before meeting. A lot of people report that.
മനസ്സിൽ എല്ലാം ഈ ഉള്ളിൻ്റെ ഉള്ളിൽ കിടന്നൊക്കെ മുകളിൽ വരുന്ന ഒരു അതുണ്ടാകാറുണ്ട്. അപ്പോൾ പല ആളുകളും അതിനെക്കുറിച്ച് പറഞ്ഞു എന്ന് പറയാം. അത് സാധാരണ എപ്പോഴും സംഭവിക്കുന്നതാണോ ചോദിക്കുക?
അല്ല, കാരണം അവരെ അപ്രേമം വരുമ്പം അത് തൂത്ത് കിടക്കുകയാണ്. അപ്പോൾ ഒന്നുകൂടെ നമ്മൾ വെള്ളമൊഴിച്ച് കഴിയുമ്പോൾ അഴുക്കൾ പുറത്തോട്ട് വന്നിട്ട് അത് മാറ്റാം.
Basically, it's a process of inner purification. For example, when you try to wipe the floor clean, the more you clean, the more dirt will surface. Likewise, there are layers and layers of emotions and negativities. So sometimes it surfaces, but that's a good sign because it's a sign of awareness. You are able to see it, and only if you are able to see it, recognize it, accept it, will you be able to remove it. So it's like walking in the dark with a flashlight. So when the light of spirituality enters into your heart, you see what is there. Then all the negativities, anger, and jealousy, and all those negativities. And when you see it, and when you are aware of the consequences of it, you will be able to remove them or go beyond them. It's like an old car. The mind is like an old car. Even if you hit the brakes, it only stop after crashing into something.
She's got a great sense of humor too. Good. Thank you very much. Please thank her. Thank you, Amma. Thank you for this beautiful experience and your translation. Much love, my beautiful co-creators. Juicy Living Tour, and I'm sitting next to Amma, that is embracing millions of people, as you know. I feel the love. I feel the tears going in my eyes. I hope I'll be able to ask those questions. Thank you for taking the time. We'll be translating here. I have my first question is about compassion, and how does she teach compassion in the world?
ആരെയും പഠിപ്പിക്കുകയല്ല, പ്രസംഗിക്കുകയല്ല, പ്രവർത്തിക്കുകയാണ്. നമ്മളെ ജീവിച്ച്
Hello, my delicious co-creators. Lilou here on the Juicy Living Tour. It's very emotional today. I might even cry during this interview. There's so much love present here. I'm at the big Zénith in Toulon, south of France, for the
സംസാരിക്കേണ്ട ഭാഷയല്ലല്ലോ, കാണിച്ചു കൊടുക്കേണ്ട പ്രാക്ടിക്കൽ വശമാണ്, ജീവിച്ച് കാണിക്കുന്ന
Amma says compassion cannot be taught, it cannot be preached. You know, I set an example. I live a life of compassion. That's how I inspire people to be compassionate. So unless you become compassionate, you cannot inspire others.
She leads by example.
Yes. So if you write honey on a piece of paper and lick it, you don't get sweetness. So unless you eat honey, take honey, you will not be able to experience the sweetness of honey. Likewise, I practice compassion. That's how I teach. The people feel inspired.
So by embracing people feel it then, and then can develop that within themselves.
Yes. And that awakens the love within them. Yeah, so it is not just a physical hug. It's a real meeting of hearts. And that